Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Happy New Year. Hope everyone had a great holiday break time season. We had a wonderful Christmas holiday and Happy New Year and all that with our family. And I hope you had also with your family and friends. Um, yeah, it's been a hot minute and I don't have a lot of time today. Thankfully, in the new year, I'm crazy busy. Um, Lots of new things coming up, lots of new things to learn, and I hope to share those in videos as well. But today, in our fun web stuff video, I wanted to talk about something I get really jazzed over. I know a lot of people, well, I think more and more designers do, typography, and something very brief, but something that's crossed my radar and that I've been implementing lately that I've found to be it's a neat little trick that I never would have thought of, but I've been seeing it pop up more and more. I think I may have seen it first. Uh, Something Kyle at the admin bar may have posted. I can't remember. If I can remember and find it, I'll post a link. But I also came across it when browsing, uh, exploring design systems. And this one for the United States government came up, which is actually pretty darn cool. Um, but what it was, I was just looking around and I began to notice these shorter text columns um, that don't span the full width of the given space, whereas you have these three columns that do, and even this introductory text also doesn't fill the full space, and it makes the text easier to read, regardless of how wide the screen is. And we've done this with containers and things like that before, but usually what we end up with, unless we're using sidebars on a site, is this long block of text that becomes a bit cumbersome and isn't that easy to read. And I think we can look to, I mean, so the internet, or sorry, websites typically are not like passages for long extended reading. Now we have blog posts, and those are 3, 4, 5 minute reads, and maybe articles. There are magazine sites and press sites, things like that. Sites where there are passages of text for extended reading, and they handle it much better than this. This is not good. So, what if there were some sort of fail safe you could drop into your CSS that would help fix this? Well, it turns out you absolutely can. When I did a little snooping, excuse me, I found that it just had a max width applied to it. So if you scroll down a little bit to be at this Site Pros, I like that class. So it has a wrapper class, style guide content, Site Pros. So right away, I guess they're defining this passage of text as prose. Prose. What exactly prose? Written or spoken language in its ordinary form without metrical structure. Okay, sure. It's a longer passage of text, and I like that. But so, what is this? So there are two ways I've seen this done with an EX unit or a CH unit, and so there's been some. At least in my case, this applied to me exactly. Um, this is a super awesome resource for CSS, by the way. Um, this guy literally wrote the book on it in its early days. So CH stands for character, simply, I think, but it is a character width, but it begins by defining, I'm sorry, it reads off of the 0 character of a font. And it depends on on the font itself, because the 0 might be a different width, as he's demonstrated here, depending on the font. So Courier is a monospace font, meaning all the characters are the same width, whereas Helvetica and Georgia are not. They're variable width fonts. And so that CH unit is based on the 0 that you see in there. So that's one way to do it. And the EX unit, and here you can see it here. This is the W3C World Wide Web Consortium, I think. So here's the CH unit, and here is the X unit. So the X unit is the X height of an Elements font. And it's not going to give us a demonstration. But what I can tell you is it's literally the height of an X character, a lowercase x, in a font. So essentially, it is the height of the lowercase. But so again, you have both of these are relative units. They depend on the font being used to get their unit of measurement. To how do you say it? The font itself informs that measurement as to how large it should be, how large or how small, however you want to say it. So anyway, we're going to use that, and I think I'm going to use the X, and we can look at the difference. But I was just going to show a quick demonstration, like super quick. And I was even going to do it with the not the theme file editor, although I can show you how. That's how I'm going to ultimately do it in my child theme. But I think we can just go to customize. I think this might be the better way to do it, because you'll see it take place in the editor as well. Go to additional CSS, and let's just say P max width, and let's just try 75 EX, and let's publish. And the beautiful thing is, it's not really going to affect anything. Like you don't have to specify, like don't do anything in my header or my footer, because if it does, it's okay. Like here, it's a 2-column grid that I have set up here with an image text, but it's not going to affect this, or it will if it gets wider or wide enough to reach that width that we're talking about. But there it is right there, without and with. And maybe that's a little too, or let's look at, okay, see, that changes it drastically. So yeah, I've seen a lot use 66, and that is pretty comfortable. And the idea to me, like I know there's like an ideal character count or word count or something like that. I try to think of it like this. If I can read it without having to move my head at all to read a full line, if I can just use my eyes to scan the text from the left to the right and then down to the next line, left to right, and so on and so forth, that it's more comfortable. That is a very unscientific way to do it, but take it for what it's worth. So that is more comfortable, and it also, I believe it scales nicely because it's a relative unit of measurement. What did they do? They did 72 EX. But again, it depends on the font. And I kind of wanted to look at that too real quick. It does kind of look odd, although I like it when, like, say this block quote breaks out of that width. The table breaks out of that width. I kind of dig it. Even like it when that breaks out of it, although I might put a color behind it or something, but we're not going to go there just yet. But let's see, let's try 77. Yeah, I got nothing there. Now let's go see the editor. I want to see if it's, whoops, there as well. Because that's an easy way to add CSS that applies to both. Oh, no, it does not apply there. That is interesting. Why can't I? Oh, there we go. Goodness. Really? Okay. Sorry to make that discovery in the middle of a video, but I'd always thought that whatever you applied in the customizer CSS uh, space would also apply to the editor. I guess that's not the case. That's very interesting. Um, okay, so what we may do, what we are going to do, look at there. So I had some inline styles. I have a class that's from something else that I'd done. I used to have a wrapper class that stuck to that width, but now I'm doing it a different way. So let's look at that. Let's go back to our customizer real quick. And I'm not going to make this very long because there's more I'd love to go into about different fonts and X heights of fonts. Let's go back to, oh, wait a minute. Do I have, no, okay. Okay, that's fine, that's fine. Yeah, we're just gonna look at this real quick. Okay, so we're going to remove that. We're going to publish and take a drink of coffee. Go back out here and I'm gonna switch real quick to my child theme. Okay. So you can do this with any child theme. You can do this with a code snippet plugin if you want. So here's my generate press child theme folder, and we're looking at the functions.php file. That's one of the required files for a child theme or for a theme, period. So I have a couple of things here. This on-queues my custom CSS and JavaScript files. And on all that means is it includes them. And that does it for the front end. This does it for the back end. There's admin on queue scripts. And this also, this add action on queue block editor assets. So what I've done with an update to my child theme is I now have a settings file. And I think I'm going to use that to include things like, well, for one, so if I go to CSS folder and settings, I have, and I think I've gone over this in another video, but I can't even remember. I'm pretty sure I did. And, you know, I probably need to do one like long video or a series that really covers just type in depth. I think I might have fun with that. I think it'd be helpful. So I have these custom properties that use the Utopia website. I think it's the Clear Left guys, clearleft.com. They're a British web design, stellar work, great work. A lot of guys that have been in the field since the early days. But it uses Clamp and these different properties to develop a palette of font sizing and spacing, and not just font spacing, but like spacing for your all your elements, your divs, your sections, whatever. So I have that in there, and this is included here. So I've on-queued that for the block editor on the back end, and I've on-queued it for the front end. So I'm just going to come down here, and I'm going to do a comment. call this typographic defaults, and I may change that later. But let's see. So I want the P element, the ordered list element, unordered list element, and maybe not H1s or H2s. Let's do H3, H4. And I'm not going to test all this right now, all of these different elements, but I'm just kind of imagining which elements I would really want this to apply to. And we'll stop there. So max width, and what did I do? Let's do 80. And we're going to do it by the X height and not the 0. I think, I don't know, something in my head makes me prefer that. And I've got when SCP is going to auto upload that. And let's see. Let it rip, see what happens. did it take it? I think I have caching turned off. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so it's pulling it from settings. So now I may have to refresh. Yeah, let's see. Or you know what? I may have to get really super specific with the. Okay, first of all, let's just see. Whoa, it's being really unresponsive. My keyboard shortcuts weren't working. Okay. Hide that. I mean, oh, sorry, wrong button. Okay. So I don't know if it's not loading it. See long text. That is stuff from within generate blocks. Okay. So let's empty the cache. Yeah, I don't have to save it. And we wait. And we wait. And it still didn't do anything. Okay. Hang on just a second. Pause. Okay. Here's the culprit. Oops. Yeah. So this CSS definition, whatever you want to call it, has a higher specificity than mine. So we would have to write ours to be more specific than this. And I can try to do that real quick. So essentially, we would need two. I don't know whether it'd be easier. I guess we could do something like that. But see, I don't want. So WP block paragraph. So I might have to come up with all those classes. I mean, I guess I could. Okay, I think. Okay, body.gpc. I might be able to do it this way. That might be more specific. And that is going to upload. I didn't want this to be a lesson in CSS specificity. This is our day, right? You go into your day thinking, I'm going to do this today. And then you get into it and the browser stares you in the face and says, nope, you're not. You're going to do this because I said so. Yeah, so I don't know if I want to fight with that right now. I mean, we could do this perhaps and do that for all of these elements because I think they all share that WP block styling. But if this doesn't work, again, I don't want to make this a lesson about fixing CSS things in the editor. Though it is nice to have everything be consistent. Okay, so it's just gonna disagree, but let's, yeah, I think it's just gonna, there's that. Oh, it totally did not. So, huh. I wonder, challenge accepted. Hang on. Okay, I may have it now. I mean, this is part of what we go through. I can't be the only one. Okay, that worked. Looks a bit weird because it's centered. Okay, so there's other things to overcome to make that happen. Got it. I hear you, WordPress, loud and clear. So I will leave that out for now. So as you can see, when you're doing stuff, and this is why, honestly, a lot of people, a lot of developers will do a separate style sheet. And I've done that too. That's what that Gutenberg CSS is for. Um, a separate style sheet to handle specific styling like this, so that what you see in the editor and what you see on the public facing side of the site, the live site, whatever, the front end is more similar. And sometimes you can't get it to be absolutely the same, but yeah, it's a struggle. It's just one of those realities that those that markup has to be different, and I get that. Okay, so we'll leave that like that. Not a deal breaker, because when we come to the front end, we still get our nice shorter text columns, but also just to share. Let's see, it's a little bit too narrow still, I think. I'm gonna go a bit larger, and then we're gonna really quickly. Did it load? Just gonna do that again. Oh, there it goes. Okay, that might actually be a little bit better. I don't know. I'm reading it, trying not to move my head. Okay, let's one more thing, just to play around with it. Let's go back to the customizer. I don't think I have the fonts actually loaded via font. I think they're still just pulling the old-fashioned way. Yeah. So let's look at something like Caslon. Okay, now if I go to the body and change it, let's do this so we can have a little comparison. It looks like the width stayed about the same, so those X heights might have been pretty similar. I mean, you get a different break in that, on that right side, the words are breaking in different places, and that's expected because they're very different. Okay, so let's try something like, I think E.B. Karaman has a much smaller, yeah, okay, there we go. So now it's Karaman, okay. Okay, much shorter. Why? Because it has a much smaller X height, much smaller. So now you can see the big difference. So let's, just gonna screw that up. I was gonna say let's look at CH, but I don't think I want to. I think I still like this, but something else to consider is if I did switch to something like this, you would need to you get much more space in between because the X height, the letters are smaller, and you probably have longer the ascenders, like the top of the D, and the descenders, like the bottom of the G, lowercase I'm talking, are going to be longer than they would be for something like Franklin Gothic, which has larger X height, shorter ascenders and descenders. So it has the appearance of less space, and here it has the appearance of a bit more space. Sometimes that's good, but the font does need to be bigger to read better, I think. But anyway, yeah. So the goal here was to just show this simple trick to wrangle your longer passages of text to be a bit easier to read. And I'm not going by any scientific method here, except that make it comfortable. Read your own text, and certainly you can't read that, but um, seriously give it a try and see what you think about your own typography. Can you read your own site? Um, because if you can make it comfortable for you to read, chances are it's a bit more comfortable for your users to read or your clients to read. Um, but you can't get into the science, and absolutely nothing wrong with that. There are a lot of people that really, really nerd out over it, and I did for a while, but the the math kind of gets me down. Um, but anyway, hope this was helpful. Um, Gosh, we're still almost 30 minutes. I'm sorry about that. Uh, I know this was a weird kind of aside from the usual grids and CSS and PHP kind of stuff, but I'm a designer too, and I almost think that, what would I say, like 75% of a website's design, maybe 75%, is the typography. Easy to read. It presents your brand. It presents the navigation, how you get around the site. It breaks down the content into different chunks and sections. It's very important, very vital to a good site, and it's something worth learning about. And I'll definitely do more videos on typography because I love it. This is something to explore more. But anyway, that's just a little trick to wrangle your paragraphs and all those elements that can go out too long, make your line lengths way too long, and make them more manageable, make them better, make them easier to read. So please like, subscribe. Tell me in the comments what you think. You enjoy this? You'd rather see something else? Because there's a lot of different stuff in fun web stuff. A lot of different elements we can pull from. So enjoy. You guys have a great weekend, and hopefully see you next week. Thanks.